Now, if my opponent attacks me, again, the root move is always to push the head down. That's the basic thing I'm trying to get initially. Sometimes that might be difficult. So he's got good head position here. So as I'm trying to adjust and to push it down, I'm gonna be unsuccessful here. Okay, he's got very good position. So immediately, instead of continuing to fight here, because the harder I fight here with his head up high, he might step behind my ankle here and knock me down, or I might drive through. I'm in very unfavorable position here, so I don't have a lot of time. So immediately what I'm going to do, as soon as I realize this is a losing battle to get the head down, what I want to do is I want to push the head away and get my head right here, sort of at his jaw and his neck here. Because his favorable position is head up relatively high in my shoulder, keeping my weight back. What I want to do is I want to get his weight down low to come out in front here. But he's got such good position. I push down and he's just really tight in here, so I can't do that. So immediately upon realizing this is a losing battle, I'm going to shift positions. You'll notice I hop slightly and immediately transition my hand, and I lower my level to get my head in there very quick. Head in the side of his head. Again, I want to get my head in between my chest and his head and create some distance and space. His more favorable position is in very tight, so what I'm going to do, as soon as I realize I can't push his head down, is to come to the side here. I keep this in tight. I want to keep my head in the side of his jaw, his ear area, his neck area here. From here, what I want to try to do is keep pushing his head away and get his foot to the outside. So I'm going to be in this type position, or get my foot to the outside. From here, typically, I'm going to try to just jam down. I can push down. His body is far away from my body at that point, so he doesn't have as much power. So typically, if I jam my leg down, and you'll notice too it's at a slight angle here with my side of my foot, not coming straight back, but sort of down and facing the mat. So my leg isn't going to come straight back, it comes down this way. And because I'm far away from him, it's hard for him to hold on. So, Colby has a good shot here. I do this down, I can't, I'm unsuccessful. I'm going to push my head away. Notice I got to the side slightly. From here, I'm going to control. Notice I have a whizzer on this side. I get to this position here. Immediately, I'm going to slide my leg through this hole here. Now, if I just go down, that's hard. So what I've got to do is I've got to try to pull his arms up as my legs go through, and I have to try to straighten my leg so it'll go through the hole easier to this position here. And then disengage. My first goal is always to push the head down. That's what I do 95% of the time. The second technique here is when I'm not going to be able to get that head down position. And at that point I need to react pretty quickly, because in all likelihood, if Colby here is proficient at a single leg, I'm very likely to go down. So I don't have a lot of time to make the transition from head down to pushing it away. Colby shoots in. I push from this position here. Okay, let's do that a couple more times. Colby comes in on a single. At first I push the head down. I'm not able to do that immediately. I have to get my head in here, get my foot to the outside, and I want to jam my leg through the hole here as I pull the hands up. And notice here, I'm above the elbows and I'm above the elbows. So this position, and I want to disengage. Another technique from that same basic position, when I've tried to push my opponent's head down and I've been unsuccessful, so that I push it aside and away, get my head in between, create some distance, because again, the more distance between me and my opponent, especially if he's holding me like this, he's not going to nearly be as powerful as if he's in tight. Okay, another option is push down here. I get to this position here now. Notice I'm out to the side here, and I have my whizzer in, and my whizzer is just to control him. I'm not trying to crank on this, and more than anything in this position here, my whizzer is mostly to make sure he doesn't slide down to my ankle. And I prevent that by keeping this hook pulled up into me here. So even though I'm pushing the face away here, or pushing the face with my hand and my head, this arm here is tending to come up from here, this position here. Because I don't want him pushing, if I push his head away, for him to slide down. All is lost at that point. So that's crucial that you're aware when I'm pushing my opponent's head away, you need to control with your overhook your partner or your opponent's arm that's attacking the leg. Because remember, like we did in the offense section of the single leg, my opponent pushes my head, that's the time where I'm typically going to go down to the ankle. Now, once I've got to the side, what I'm looking for here, and this I think is an excellent position for jiu-jitsu and submission wrestling and mixed martial arts, is to get my feet lined up. Right now my feet aren't lined up with Colby's foot, and my foot. I want to get my foot lined up. So as I'm pushing aside, I'm going to come up roughly all in line here. Then what I'm going to do is notice this foot here is behind Colby's knee. I'm going to come through here. With this arm, I'm not grabbing, I'm just blocking. Now, what's crucial is, again, the more I keep this line, the better. It's more difficult for me to reach this leg if I don't have that line here with my foot, if my feet aren't lined up with Colby's. Here, we're lined up. It's a much easier task to grab. Here, it's much more difficult, but you'll notice I have to bend down. I get in much less favorable position. Whereas here, I'm in much more favorable position. Now from here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to sit back. Now I want you to notice the position we're in here. I have this leg still trapped, this leg trapped. I keep my toe pointed in that direction, and I control this whizzer here. If Colby turns into me, Colby, I just push my head in. If Colby turns away, I tug down on this overhook here. As he's doing that, especially as he tends to turn away, frequently that's going to be the time to transition out. Why I think this position is so good is that it's a position you can get to in other circumstances besides this single leg defense, and we'll go over that in some future instructionals. But this concept here is, I think, an important concept to grasp because you can do a lot of things from it. Colby shoots in, I push down as my root, that ain't gonna work. I get to the side, I push his head away, line up my feet, reach. I'm not gonna throw back here, I just set back here. And now notice too, I kind of turn into Colby a little bit. I keep this tight, I keep this locked up here, and I suck him in tight here. I've got a post here, turn into me Colby. I block with my head, he turns away, I sag down. I'm in good shape here. And the key thing is in wrestling, you're going to eventually get some back points following control here once they recognize you have control. But in submission wrestling, you've got some things to do here because from here you can transition to a knee lock, and it's not that hard to get to a mounted type position in this from this type of technique as well. And so I think it's a very, very useful position, particularly because you can hang out there in fairly good control. Colby attacks a single. I couldn't push his head down, so I push it away. I line my feet up. I grab down here. Notice how I sit back and turn into Colby. I keep everything very tight. I'm in good shape here. I'm not in any hurry. I'm not in any hurry in this position here. I'm going to hang out here. If I feel Colby push in, I block with my head. If I feel him turn away, I pull down. Typically when he turns away, that's when I'm going to try to transition to get on top. And most typically, I'm just going to push this leg down and come on top to the side here. Colby attacks in on the single. I push down and I can't get that immediately. I transition to get his face away, block with my head, line up my feet, come back. I keep tight to him the whole time. Not loose. That's no good for me. I want to keep tight to him the whole time. I want to keep tight in here. Tight. In this position here. I keep this leg pointed up. And it's not lazy, because if it's lazy, he can get out from here. That's no good for me. So I keep it kind of cocked here and jammed in towards his knee. This knee is up. I've got a post, and I'm pulling in here. Again, from submission perspective, it's not that hard to transition to knee lock in this position. And it's certainly not hard from this position to get on top. All I've got to do, and this works again best when I can get my opponent to turn away, which they'll typically do eventually, I'm going to push the leg down, block, and come through. If Colby turns into me, keep turning into me here, you still shouldn't have any problem being able to move out of here ultimately, because again, he's in very unfavorable position. I can kind of keep him pretty much tied down here. There's no danger at all of him coming on top of me, and most people learning this technique get nervous about that at first. As long as I keep this leg up, and I notice I assist myself with this post here, he can't turn his hip to get on top. And I can just hang out here very comfortably and confidently knowing he's not going to get on top of me. So, from this position here, I'm posting, I'm in tight. If he turns into me, which is a little more difficult for me to get on top, it's still not a big deal. I'm still going to do the same type of situation. I'm going to push down, I'm going to block out here, and I'm on top. Now, some people may be familiar with a somewhat similar move when you push the head away and you throw this supporting leg behind your opponent. And there's a technique, and it's illegal in wrestling, but some people in submission wrestling or jiu-jitsu will throw this leg through. I guess my feeling is that I would rather maintain a good sense of control when I come down here than just throw my leg through and hope to win the scramble there. Again, this is very effective as long as I pull this in tight. I've got a post here, I'm controlling his knee, I'm controlling this knee, and in particular, he's not able to turn into me because I keep this knee up. What happens if this knee is down? No problem for him to hit by step. But as long as I keep this knee up, there is no way he's going to get on top of me here. So it's not that hard for me to get favorable position, to feel confident there is one of the points I'm trying to get across here, and to take my time knowing that I have good control.